Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Community Corner podcast. In this episode, Zaire invites his good friend from overseas named Daniel to discuss the blooming issues from the past and exchange opinions about various other topics. Without further ado, I welcome Zaire.
Hello, welcome back. Today we are on the Urban Psychologist. It's me, Zaire Ali. And today we have a special guest, my good friend Daniel. And I'm gonna let him introduce himself, but Daniel, I know Daniel since I would say 2017, 2018 when I went to Ireland. So Daniel and the rest of his family, they showed me around. I met him, I met his back then girlfriend, but now fiance Derbs. So yeah, we became like pretty cool. And today we're just here to talk about a little bit of everything. So in the past, we talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict. We talk about world events. We talk about U.S. government. We talk about sports, a little bit of everything. But today we're going to talk about, recent events, current events, because that's what we do. At the Urban Health Collaborative, we are here to work with people around the world and just really, identify and help solve problems. So today we're going to talk about COVID and vaccines. We're going to talk about traveling because we love to travel. I thought I was a good traveler, but my friend Daniel, he's a world-class traveler. Then lastly, we're going to talk about the siege of the Capitol building in the White House. So with no further ado, here's my friend Daniel. Not my friend, my brother.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Let him introduce himself.
What's happening, everyone? Thanks for having me on, man. I'm Dan. I have my own podcast, MC Podcasting, which Ali came on. Was it the summer? Was it?
Early summer.
Yeah, and it's so weird because we scheduled for you to come on. Again, no plan. I've just planned out. Come on next Sunday, and that week, guess what happened? The whole fucking George Floyd situation happened. Remember?
Yeah, so that's a perfect segue.
And the same thing happened this week. You said by coming on this Saturday, and then that whole fucking Capitol Hill shit happened as well.
It's
mental on it.
It's it's not even mental. It's just like wow, like that happened again. Like we talk about as America, right? We talk about all these other countries how we have to go in, and make them better. We have to go in and give them order, democracy, right? But look at this. In the greatest country in the world, look what happened.
I think that title now needs to be taken away. Apologies. You know me, I love America. I've been there numerous times. The cities in America are just breathtaking, New York especially, but the greatest country in the world, I think that's gone now. I think there's too much. There's always has been question marks over America, even from when it's founded, even back in the Native Americans and how they were treated, and also and obviously the War of Independence and all too, slavery. There's so much it's kind of ruins America's history because there's so much like darkness that follows it. You know what I mean? But I always say this here because from the outside, obviously America is so vast and so mental, but it's so amazing as well. So for Irish people to actually look in and see all the gun crimes, like the school shootings, obviously like what happened to George Floyd and what happens to obviously minorities on regular basis over there. I just feel like, how the fuck could you live there? But on the other hand, you have someone like yourself. You have people. I always say America is like each side has like the best people, but also has the worst people. It has the horrible humans, but it has just the most compassionate humans that way. That's the bad thing about America. It's almost too big for itself.
Yeah, like thinking about it, it's almost too big for itself. And when you think about that, sometimes it almost is because we think about different events that happen in America. We think about the siege in Waco, Texas, right? We look at that. That's a prime example of wow, America is too big for itself because without real, federal investigation, without people losing their lives, what's happening in Waco might still be going on. We see different events. We see different communities in this country that, not saying for the better or for the worse, but just are allowed to do different things off their grid without much answer. And then you look at other communities and you're like, wow, they can't breathe too hard without threatening people. So it's really, this place where it's just like, seriously, is that what's going on? But Here's the thing. As you said, America has it all. And when I went to Ireland, people I didn't know about Ireland. I thought Ireland was like this happy place, leprechauns, etc. But then I get there, you hear about the conflict between North Ireland and South, in different parts of Ireland, I would say. Like you told me about Belfast, like the dark times, and like even things now. Like I didn't realize that the ghettos that we have in the U.S. are all around the world. In Ireland, I saw like I went to different neighborhoods and I went to different places. I'm like, oh wow, these people sound the same way. They do the same things that I'm doing in the U.S. that me and my friends are doing. They just say it a little differently and their skin's differently. But there's people. I've seen that, are literally doing drugs, doing bad things. There's crime everywhere. It's not as bad and as rampant, because the U.S. is a country and this happens on a wide scale level. But it's crazy. It's happening.
Well, you made a good point there, and that's what people need to. I think that's what people are trying to get away from here, especially because the conflict between Protestants and Catholics is still here. They still try to divide us in terms of the political party. DUP and Sinn Féin are probably the two biggest parties in the north, and one's Protestant, one's Catholic. But
Yeah.
what we need this,
Could you explain a little more of that for people who aren't sure about all that?
Oh, wait, so yeah, so obviously Ireland is obviously a Catholic country, but obviously, can't remember what year it was. Obviously, it was colonized by England, and obviously it was owned by England for hundreds of years or for whatever it was. Don't know, that's probably wrong. Like, but obviously the British planters from like England and Scotland obviously got priority, who were majority Protestant because England was a Protestant country. So they all came in, got all the land. So the land was kind of taken away from the Irish, the native Irish people, and their language was taken away. Catholic schools were all closed down. You couldn't go to Catholic churches and all too. So it kind of treated like second class citizens and stuff. Obviously, until 1916, there was an uprising with Padraig Pearse and all too. And obviously, that was started the IRA. The IRA obviously band together was the Irish Republican Army. They were called terrorists, but obviously a lot of people in Ireland call them freedom fighters. And with Mick Collins, they were able to get 28 counties back. So Ireland is kind of like America, divided up into states, or we call them counties. So there's 32 counties in Ireland, and 26 of them down south, and 6 of them up north. So Mick Collins was the head of the IRA. Then basically was able to, using guerrilla warfare tactics, beat the British Army, and the British Army allowed them to have 26 counties back. But the 6 counties up north, which were majority Protestant, is where Belfast is, where I'm from, had to remain a part of the UK. The goal was always to get them 6 counties back, but things have happened since then that it's still part of the UK. So technically, I'm from Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, and the south is the Republic of Ireland, which is an independent state. So people
who claim you're from the Republic, but you actually geographically are located up north in the UK's properties.
We get dual nationality. So I had a British passport when I was a kid because it's cheaper and it's quicker to get. But when I became an adult, or when I became whatever, I think 16, I got an Irish passport. So I am an Irish citizen. I have an Irish passport, but I live in Belfast, which is technically the UK. But again, I would always say I'm from Ireland. I wouldn't say I'm from Britain. It's just, and again, it's politics. So up north, that's where it's kind of the worst part, because there's still a conflict going on in terms of there's Protestant communities and Catholic communities. Basically, there's nationalists who want to be a part of Ireland, and there's the Unionists who want to be part of Great Britain. So that's where the conflicts. To be fair, the conflict isn't as bad as it used to be. There's certain streets you probably weren't allowed to walk down, but now it's not as bad. You know what I mean? For any tourists coming across like yourself, it wouldn't be quite obvious that way.
That makes sense. Wow. So it's like in the US. It's literally like what you're saying is in the United States, what has happened post-slavery, after slavery, before slavery, and during right now. These people, we're not going to name any names, but we know who these people are, came to another country and said, okay, this is how you're going to do it. This is the rules. Then people are like, no, we were here first. You can't come here and tell us how to do something, so we're going to fight back for it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
decades yet later, centuries later, is like, okay, we're still fighting. It's not the same way. It's not guerrilla warfare anymore, but it's very, it's very well. Some places, we see, look at the Capitol siege. That is technically guerrilla warfare, right?
That's
but
exactly.
but now we see, people are suppressing others by, healthcare, lack of healthcare, lack of, good good ways to make a living, lack of a lot of more now.
Mhm.
So they're not, physically doing anything, but they just as well might as well.
And I think that's why like people in Ireland and especially up north from like certain communities, they kind of align themselves with the BLM, the Black Lives Matter movement,
Uh-huh.
because we see similarities in how maybe Irish people were treated in the north. Like Irish people weren't able to get the jobs. It'd be Irish, like, sure, in the papers and all. This is when my parents were growing up. My dad's 71 now, so
Okay.
he can remember in newspapers like during like the section where all the jobs were. It'd be like Catholics need not apply. The Catholics weren't allowed to apply for certain jobs because the Catholic people were obviously part of the Irish community. Because in the north is majority Protestant and stuff. Like all that happened. So I think whenever the BLM movement kicked off and a lot of people start talking about like black people in America and getting like obviously treated like second class citizens. I think the Irish people saw that, like almost like that's the same as happened to us. And I think that's why a lot of people here support Palestine during the Palestine and Israel conflict, because again, they see a race of people or a type of people in society getting treated like second class citizens, and that's almost like representative of what the
Wow.
Irish are treated like. So that's why there's a big connection out there. You go all around Belfast, especially in like West Belfast, for example. There's all murals on the wall for BLM and all too. And a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people are like, why are we getting involved in a conflict that's has nothing to do with us? But we realized it does have something to do with it because BLM isn't just isolated in America; it's here too.
Exactly. 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 Because the the people get lost in the words and terminology. Like I said earlier, people in the US and people in Ireland, people in India, people in Pakistan, people in Egypt, there's class there, there's social barriers there, and people are doing the same thing. BLM, like you said, isn't just, oh, Black Lives Matter. Yes, in this moment, that's what we're talking about. But you take that same framework and take it to Ireland, you see it's the Protestant and Catholics like, hey, like we matter, like you
Hmm.
can't do this to us, and
Yeah.
you felt that. So that's why people say, oh, we shouldn't get involved. Like no, like anything, around the world, if I can relate to it and I see a group of people who are being suppressed or held down, and if I feel the need, or I feel the relation, or if I feel like I can help or speak out, whatever it is, no matter how big or small it is, I will, you know because
No,
why wouldn't we? It's just like we're humans, right?
ma-
Before anything, we're humans.
no, man, that's exactly what it is. And I think a lot of people, especially to be fair, I think when you're young, you're more radical, aren't you? You're more like gun ho. You don't really understand what's going on. But like the older I get, the more I realize I don't pick sides in conflicts and all too. I just look who's being suppressed the most, who's treated like a second class
Mhm.
citizen. And I grew up, my brother, is big, massive pro Palestine supporter and all too. And I grew up the same. But then like people would ask me, are you pro Palestine? I'm like, no, I'm not pro Palestine. I'm just pro human justice. If the
Exactly.
Israelis, if the Israelis were getting treated the same as the Palestinians, then yeah, I would be pro-Israel. But the bad thing about it, regardless of where the conflict started from and who started it, right now there seems to be an overwhelming superiority
Really.
towards Israel in terms of like the money that they have in comparison to Palestine. It's not an equal war, and that's why I feel bad for the Palestinians. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Exactly. Like when you look at that, as you like when you're looking at that, you're just like, seriously, are we really going to do this and support this?
Yeah.
And like, cause you see, like, I don't know, like I stand very, very clear when it's like, okay, I'm in this country, I love my country, but it's like when you read, like, not everybody reads, right? So when you see like the bills and you see like the government spending, and you see how much COVID relief we're giving to Israel and how much we just give them yearly, and we
Hmm.
see like they're literally blowing Palestine off the
I
map,
know.
And you're like, seriously, like, are we really supporting that?
You almost want to say like support your own people first, and it's obviously again it's I'm from Ireland, so different country. And I grew up with universal healthcare. I grew up with free healthcare, so the idea that you don't have that is just blows my mind. Same as guns, the gun thing. And maybe I'm taking a bit of a step back on it because I don't know what guns. I don't know if you're pro guns or anti guns. I grew up with no guns in my country, so the idea of people walking around with guns is so alien to me. I don't want that. But again, people can have their hobbies. People can do what they want. But in terms of healthcare, I always ask myself, what's the purpose of a government? You know, it's meant to keep the people happy, keep the people healthy, and that's what you want. First of all, obviously, we all want to be millionaires, don't we? We all want money. We all want to be happy. But your health is your wealth. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
if you have like, if you are, if you have, like, imagine not having to worry about health insurance in America. Like, imagine not having to worry about can I get this operation or can I afford to live for the next month? No, why that blows my mind. Why if we want an operation, it's done. Yeah, maybe we have to wait a bit longer, but in terms of expenditure, we don't have to worry about money. Money's not a thing here. We get all our prescriptions for free. Everything's free. We see a doctor free, surgery free. But if you can't afford, if you have to work out, can I afford lunch this week or do I need to get my prescription? Like that's a weird society to live in.
And that's reality here. Like that's
Yeah.
legitimate. And that's the crazy thing. It is legitimately reality here. Like people, that literally have to choose between, the prescription, or food. They have to choose between getting insulin, which can literally save their lives, or paying rent because
Yeah.
prices are so high now, and insurers aren't fully covering insulin. And because in America, we have essentially three big industries: big pharma, like pharmaceuticals, big pharma, big food, so like the food, meat industry, drinks, and all that stuff. And then we have, essentially like healthcare. And you look at that industry, we know how healthcare is. It's essentially technology driven, and science and data driven. Healthcare isn't what it used to be. It's not what it's meant to be. We could essentially, my belief, and just from reading and doing research and looking at stuff, we could really, fix a lot of the issues here that we have. Like, because we have so much money, the amount of money we spend on healthcare technology, and the amount we spend on procedures, because we're paying for such good technology, such cutting edge technology, and such, world specialist doctors are paying a lot for quality care, but it's not equitable. Just the distribution of this care and how things are distributed throughout the country are not equitable. Because as you said, free healthcare is you grow up with it. If we had that here, I would say not 50%, but damn near a lot of the problems in this country would be fixed, because healthcare goes deeper than what we really see. Healthcare goes into behavior healthcare, mental illnesses. If you are a great mind, a great worker, but your brain, your mind is really has an illness, or you have some type of psychotic disorder that you can't regulate on your own, and you need extra help, but you can't get it because you can't afford a therapist, or you can't afford insurance that has a good therapist, or so many factors, and it
Mhm.
just sucks because we are dealing with that. And it's not like we don't know that. We know we're dealing with
Mhm.
that. And like your country can look at us and be like, other countries can look at us and say like, listen, we might not have this and this and this and that, but our people are not dying by preventable diseases. Our
Mhm.
people, aren't insane because they can't literally afford health insurance. It's
Yeah, no.
crazy.
We always say, well, like America is the greatest country in the world if you have money.
Yeah, if you have
It
money,
is.
you could literally do it. You could have people literally feed your food to you and never touch a fork,
Yeah.
But as of right now, the plan that is publicly being distributed is, I'm not 100% sure, but it's frontline healthcare workers, and like public safety officials, doctors, nurses, essentially anybody who is in the front line carrying out the good fight to stop people from getting COVID, or who, are educating people. But you also, if you're a student in college and you're on campus and you're in clinical practice or you're something like that, you could get it. So
All free?
essentially, yeah, it's through,
Okay.
if you're a university covers it. If you're through your job covers it essentially. Then, elderly. So if you're like elderly or worker in a long-term care facility, let's say like if I broke my hip, I was 85 and I didn't have family and I was in facility, I would, that would save me. I
Hmm.
would get the shot that way. Or if I'm the worker in the facility, I'll also
Yeah.
get the shot.
And what's your opinion on it? A lot of people like it's just a strange concept because I never understood the term anti-vaxxers, like people who are anti-vaccinations until COVID was a thing. So I didn't understand that people were against vaccinations up until COVID was a thing. So what's your opinion on the vaccinations and getting the vaccinations?
Okay, so I have I guess a two-part opinion on it, because I am I'm for the fight. I'm for fixing this. I'm for making all this better, because I know the impact that COVID is having, not just on people financially, but mentally, physically. Is impacting people, it's impacting mothers having children, seeing their prenatal visits, their regular checkups. It's
Hmm.
really impacting people a lot. So when you look at that perspective, I'm like, yo, if the vaccine is going to cure this, if the vaccine is going to stop people from dying, I'm all for it. But
Hmm.
I also know science, and I also know, like, just like anything, nothing's 100%.
Yeah.
There's a certain burden, a burden of proof. There's a certain, level where it's like, okay, we know what's going to happen up to a certain, point, a certain value. But these things, if they do happen to you, like, we're going to try to make it better. But, I'm sorry, there's only so much I could really do about it.
I always find it strange that so I obviously work in a medical company. Obviously, I'm not going to give the name out, but like, so I understand the testing that goes into a drug or device. You know what I mean? Over a long period of time. But the difference between well, I'm speaking on probably the vaccinations over here. I don't know if it's the same vaccinations and stuff, but like I look at that and it's usually like was it 25,000 or 35,000 tests that need to be performed, and that's usually done over a space of a few years. But because this was such an urgent matter, that this is obviously and everything was on hold, that people were able to focus on pushing this vaccination out, and that's why it was done so quick. A lot of people are questioning it because a vaccination usually takes years to develop and stuff, but because this one was kind of done within a few months. People were questioning it, but it's went through the same testing, the same approval, the same
Oh, I
regulations.
believe in
That
science for
that's
sure.
what I mean. Like, yeah. So for me, I'm just like, okay, if you're a type of person that questions any sort of medical advice or any sort of medical medicine that you take, fair enough, question everything. But if you're a type of person that takes paracetamols or takes whatever you want on a daily basis to cure your hangover, or fucking if you're out in a bar, you're snorting whatever you want, but then you're questioning this, I'm like, mate, you just snorted fucking stuff into the toilet there. Don't question this. Can't question.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think that was
Exactly.
me.
Exactly. And like me, like any other minority in this country, I feel like, we have the right to be skeptical here,
Hmm.
even with all the science backing it, because we know the history of the medical mistrust to minorities in this country.
Hmm.
That is the only reason where, like, when I first heard of the vaccine, I was like, the hysteria got me. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, the hysteria. And I was like, time out, time out. The world paused. Like, billions, maybe even more, was put into this vaccine. And
Hmm.
plus, on top of that, we not saying we knew that this is going to happen, but we were getting this vaccine ready supposedly in the past, because we knew how mutations happen. We know science.
And I
So
think I think it's based on the SARS vaccination as well.
thank you.
So they use
So
that
we were
there. So it's
ahead.
Yeah, so they kind of had basically like the blueprint for this vaccination before they actually was needed. So it was there. It's not like they had to start from scratch. A lot of people were questioning that there. But,
Thank
you
you.
know, if you read into it, like it's one of these things, I haven't read into it because I trust them. So I understand. If I was American, I would distrust the government because I really don't trust American
But the
governments, to be
thing that
fair.
people don't get here, the government wasn't the main people doing the vaccine
Exactly. Yeah.
because the government isn't a scientist. The
Yeah.
government contracts the best scientists. The government
Mm.
doesn't have the best scientists and doctors. No, 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 no. They have the people who have the best name for it.
Yeah.
But in reality, these scientists and doctors that are doing this stuff, we don't know who they are because they don't
Exactly.
want to be known. They're so rich, they're so wealthy, they're so forward thinking. Whereas like, listen, I'm going to sign my life away for this government contract. Let me do the vaccine, then give me my life.
But
Like
it's
that's
all,
how they are.
but it's also, but we talked about before we started recording. It's like that's their passion. They don't care about the money. Sometimes a lot of people who are making it, they just want to cure this disease or cure this virus.
Exactly.
That's their passion. So they're driven by that. There, so not driven by money and all too. So they probably work fucking 20 hours a day just to do this and all too. And now we're there. You have someone online from fucking arsehole of nowhere saying like I don't trust him. Like I was like, fuck's sake, I fucking spent weeks on months doing this here. Like, you know what I mean? You gotta trust the science, Pennant. I mean, I always trust science.
Yeah, like I trust science. Like even though some things, I'm the type of person where I've experienced the real world first, then I learn science.
Yeah.
Then I learned the theories and the theoretical responses. I learned the critical part of science. So and you're a scientist. You are a scientist. That's what you do.
Engineer.
And that's still science because
Yeah.
you could make things happen. I wouldn't even like, and most people would be like, "Oh, that's easy." Then you're like, "Actually, it's not." But I make it look easy,
Yeah.
So like how things work. So we're very special people in this realm, not because we're special, but because we have knowledge that that was digested and
Mhm.
easily, told to us that we understand it. So
I was listening to a song basically, and it was a hip hop song by an artist called Dave, and I was like, "Fuck, this is really grim." He was talking about the black community in the UK and how they're treated and all too. And I was like, I just sat there, mate. Is the black community in the UK disproportionately affected by COVID? I didn't know this here, and I searched it. So in the UK, the black communities are three times more likely to die from COVID than anyone in the white communities. So I just want to ask, like, is that a thing in America, or are black communities being disproportionately affected by that?
oh my gosh.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of guessed that,
Yes.
but I didn't want to
Yes.
just assume.
So put like look, this is going to be something I can say and I can tell you like, hey, this is how it works. So anything that you see happening in the US so let's say if you in the US, we brought you over here
Mhm.
and we made three categories. Oh, the majority, the middle people, and then the third column was like the everybody else, right?
Mhm.
So we could say the majority. Yeah, we're not going to go very deep because just for time's sake, but if it's happening here to even like the middle class and down, because we see how Serena Williams, we see how doctors, like well-esteemed medical doctors, were negatively impacted by COVID. So if that impacts them here, it's impacting the
Oh
lower
yeah,
class and then it's impacting over the world because what happens in the US happens globally. Like
yeah,
the US, we just garner so much attention because of like, Hollywood, New York, all the crazy things. So whatever happens here is happening because everybody sees us and we are the trends. Like
yeah.
there's hip hop in Ireland. There's like, I didn't know that. I did not know there was like black rappers in Ireland that are speaking what Gillish, right? Is it the language?
Gillick.
Gaelic, yes. That are speaking Gaelic and rapping, and people are like, "Oh wow, that makes sense." And people
Mhm.
like that. I'm like, "Oh crap, that's
Yeah,
cool."
yeah, exactly. I know. No, but it's just strange to think about it, like, because I was watching something. I don't know what it was actually, but they're talking about like, because here inside, indoors, any shops, we're on lockdown right now again. We're back to our lockdown number fucking 3, so it's a nightmare. But shops, like essential shops, are open, like supermarkets to buy food and all. But it's mandatory to wear masks. You have to wear a mask only if you're exempt, if you have like asthma or something out there. But like, even if you don't wear a mask, even if you are exempt, people still throw you looks and stuff. But is that a thing in America? You just have to wear a mask, or is
Oh
everyone
yeah,
is everyone wear a mask though? Yeah.
so it depends. That's the thing about America. It varies by state. So some states have very strict mask bans, like New Jersey, New York. Listen, if you're here, you're doing this,
Hmm.
you need to have your damn mask on, even if you're not having your damn mask on, just to be safe.
Yeah.
That's how it is. But in like a state like Florida, Texas, you don't have to wear a mask unless the store. So in those states, it's optional. So if it's enforced by the store, yes. But if nobody said you don't have to wear a mask, you can go anywhere you want and not wear a mask.
So strange. But anyway, this COVID is actually just annoying. To be fair, COVID hasn't really affected my family, and hopefully it hasn't affected your family, your internal family. Anyway, your close family. But for me, it's affected traveling. So I think that's a good segue to traveling, and that's something that I've been annoyed at. But again, first world problems because a lot of people were down, a lot of people lost their jobs this year, a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
can't afford. Even in Ireland, a lot of people are suffering through COVID. Not to even my sister, like she works in the hospitality industry. Like she hasn't been working. She worked like say a month the last
Oh,
9 months.
Janie.
Yeah, so like she's affected that way. But in terms of like me personally, I haven't. My job's still there. I'm still we're essential business. But for me, it's traveling. So okay, let's fast forward 3 months down the line, 4 months down the line. Vaccine work, COVID's gone. Where's the first place you're going to travel to?
I would say locally, like within the US, I want to go either I think okay, I'm gonna do it this way. Go to Colorado, like the snow mountains, like wild mountains, learn how to snowboard.
Oh, the class.
All right, stay there for a week, do snowboarding, then go to California and visit my brother, work some business stuff out there, then go up to the mountains like Big Bear and snowboard again there.
You were in California recently, weren't you?
Yeah, visit my brother.
LA?
Yeah, LA.
Man, LA, I was there last September in LA and San Diego. LA was the only city I've ever been to that I was overwhelmed by it. It just felt too big for me.
Yeah, it's too
Like,
much going on there.
oh my God, man. I was just like, this is too much for me. Like, I almost felt, I wanted to get out of it. Like, I've been to New York. Yeah, I love New York. New York's just fucking crowds of people. But LA just seemed different. It's actually scared me. Because
Scared you.
yeah, I felt weird. Maybe because I don't know if I'm in New York, I know you're there. Like I'll meet up with you, so I have you. We have some
Yeah.
in New Orleans. My mate Alex lives there, so I meet up with Alex. That's good. So I know someone there. In LA, I was just like I was alone. I was like, this is overwhelming for me. But not San Diego. San Diego was so chilled, much smaller. Something that's more similar to Belfast in that sense. But Belfast, you know yourself, is a small city. Probably not even a city in America. Probably a small town. But yeah, I remember LA just feeling like just overwhelming.
Yeah, that's that's LA. Like I learned about LA is like there's two people who are there. You're rich as hell and you're
Hmm.
done with everything, right? And you're enjoying life. You grew up, no, three people. You're rich as hell, you're enjoying life. You grew up there, so whatever you have is you're used to it. Or there's the
Hmm.
third people. Everybody else was trying to make it, who is trying
Yes.
to get on. Like if you're trying to make it, you go to LA. You make
Yeah.
it when you go to New York when you're made it and you're doing appearances and you're getting paid. But LA, you're the main reason most people I know are there because they're trying to get somewhere. They're trying to be that person. And I'm like,
It must
oh,
be so hard though. So much competition. Like, and I love movies. I do not too. So that's why I went to LA. Just wanted to see Universal not to and go to the studio tours. And I thought it was amazing. I got to see where Psycho was made. I got to see where The Grinch was made. That just blew me away. So there is an attractive lure in LA, but when you're
oh no, for
there,
sure.
when you're there, man, it was just so much poverty and stuff. I just couldn't.
Oh my
Strangely,
God, Skid Row. Like when you're in out, like, have you been to San Francisco yet?
no, no.
Me neither. We got to go there together. Me,
Yeah, we'll go
you,
there.
Derbs, and
There
my
you go.
wife.
That's it. There.
That's where we're going.
Once the
We're going to
pandemic's
San
over,
Francisco. We are going to San Francisco.
we'll meet up in LA, get a car, drive up, think it's like a 6 hour driving or something, or 5 hour drive.
Yeah, you can meet my family there. We go to Big Bear. Like I can take you guys
Sorted.
snowboarding.
Sorted.
Yo, Dervla, Kizra, listen, ladies. If this is the one time we ask you not to fight with us, just say, hey, just say okay. This is our trip. You guys have to meet each other. So just enjoy it.
Yeah, we were so close to driving to San Fran because we were staying in San Diego. So driving to LA was like 2 to 4 hours depending on traffic. And we're like, fuck it, let's go to San Fran.
But then it's like almost a whole day.
Yeah, and we got it delayed. We got delayed in London for a day when we're flying over to LA. So
that sucks.
we were there for 8 days or 7 days and got one day taken off us. So we were only there for 7 or 6, and it wasn't worth it, you know that way.
Yeah, I could only imagine.
But California, man, something else. Fucking just warm every fucking day. I loved it. I loved it.
It's beautiful. Like me and kids we said it like, hey, when we get there, when we make it, if not South Africa, LA, but we're gonna have a property in one of those places where we want to go whenever we want. Just go there.
Oh, we mean what? South Africa? Is that a place you want to?
That's my international place, South Africa. So it's
not
San
Belfast,
Francisco.
no?
Well, I gotta stop by to Belfast first. So
I could get a connecting flight. Stop off in Belfast.
Stop by to Belfast. Then I was like, okay, we're going to South Africa. We go there, go back to Belfast. I go home. Then after that, you fly back over here to New York. Then we go to LA.
Oh man, New York. Like it's about like. Do you have the same like? I don't know if you're the same, because you lived in New Jersey, which practically isn't.
No, I'm still a tourist. I haven't visited half of. You probably could be a tour guide and show me around the city. Because I grew up going to the city for a bit, like to take my GRE test. I went to New York. We go like in New Jersey, we go to New York for a purpose because there's no point in going there. It's too expensive if you're not going there for a purpose. So
yeah I know,
you
but
probably could show me around.
The last time we were there was it 2 years ago. We met up in New York.
No. It was. Oh well, technically now I think it is 2 years.
What was it? It'll be 3 years in the summer, so 2.5 years since we actually last saw each other. It's weird, actually. That was one of my favorite days because I felt like you were not a tourist; you were a local, like a local there. I mean, this is class because I hate being a tourist. I hate walking around not knowing where to go. I hate being not typical tourist taking photos and shit. But when we met you, we felt like this is our city.
I know my way around. See, I know my way around the city, but like. I have friends who tell me about like these secret clubs in New York. So there's so much stuff. So when I went there with you, I was like, yeah, I could take you around, like, because you're a good friend. Because like, I can have you experience New York like I do it. But I know I still haven't experienced New York the way I want to yet.
Yeah. It's such a fucking amazing city. And I don't know if you have the same satisfaction when you go there. For me, maybe being from Ireland, New York is just like a dream-like place. So when we go there, every corner, like there was a movie made there. Like every shot, like you see Times Square, like how many movies were made in Times Square. So for Irish people, New York is like this, almost like a dream or some shit in that way. It's like a fairy tale. You go to New York, like, oh fuck, this is what you see on TV. But for you, obviously, it's probably just like a city around the corner.
Well, I guess I could say that about when I went to Ireland. I told everybody about it because when I went to Ireland, I did not imagine that I would be in downtown Ireland with you guys walking across the town in the middle of the night and I'll be safe. I did not imagine walking down like Antrim Road, down the hill. Yeah, down the hill into the city and watching the school get out and like, me just talking to the kids. That looked like
I see that video of you.
It's like I felt like I was in Harry Potter because I'm like, wait, this is real life. They really talk like that. This is how they really dressed.
We have to wear all our blazers, our jumpers, our shirt and ties. We don't wear our normal clothes in school. We wear the uniform.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, wow.
But that night, the first time we ever met, and we all went out drinking. Remember, we did like the pub crawl thing.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was classic. We were. I tell this story to everyone. Don't know if you can remember because you were pretty drunk. We were in the club called Students Union, which is SU back home, and this girl and the fella were kissing. Remember, just fucking kissing the face to each other. And you leaned over, took out your wallet, give him a condom. Remember?
I gave him a card.
A condom.
Oh yeah.
You're like, here you go. You're gonna need this later on. It was the funniest thing ever. Oh my god.
Oh, see, like I was comfortable. I felt safe with you guys, and I was having fun. You know, it was like,
Yeah.
hey, you know.
But there's a thing about Belfast, because Belfast was like, I think a couple of years ago was voted the worst or the most dangerous city in like Europe or the UK or some shit like that. There.
Really, where
Yeah.
at though? Like where?
I mean, like just Belfast in general. But I think it's taking
How?
exactly. Man, I don't know what it is, but I think it's because they're taking into consideration all the troubles and all the bombings that happened during the troubles. But obviously now no one's like that. But this is what I really think. I think that because we're so divided on sectarianism and all too, in terms of Catholic and Protestant and all, that when you have someone else come in, like I yourself, people are super nice. They're trying to almost they step away from the past by being uber nice to everyone else. You know that way?
So do you think violence and stuff back then was because of the Protestant Catholic?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was. People were like IRA,
So that's all the violence. Even to this day, that's really what the violence and poverty stems from, and like the division back then.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sure. We have like it was like there's a hotel called the Europa Hotel, which is the most bombed hotel in the world. My mum used to work at it as a cleaner.
Is it like is it an active hotel still, or is it
Yeah,
like
it's probably the best hotel in Belfast. But it got bombed during the troubles a lot.
because IRA is the good people back then?
Well, people obviously some people from the other community.
Well,
would say
okay,
that
put it this way: it's like the Black Panthers. I would think the Black Panthers are good
Yeah.
because I'm for them, but the other people would be like, "Oh, whoa,
Yeah,
watch out."
probably exact same as IRA. Like one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. That's what it is. And
Unless your president is enticing it and supporting it.
oh yeah,
Then they're just good Americans
there's good Americans
who want what they want, you know.
go
They're not,
go home. I love yous all. Go home. What the fuck? But then when like the BLM movement happens, arrest them while they're all thugs. Like America is it's always in the news. A lot of people have their opinions, but a lot of people over here do support Trump. It's weird, man. There's actually like there's posters by Trump and all in Ireland. People have like bumper stickers like support Trump and all in Belfast.
No, they don't. No, they don't. There's no way.
Man, I have photos on my phone. A car was driving in front of me. I took my phone. I took a photo of it. Like I had a bumper sticker supporting Trump in Belfast. What the fuck?
Belfast. How can you agree with that?
If you have someone who is spewing your ideas, regardless of your ideas or beliefs or hatred, if you have some guy on the stage, on TV, saying the exact same things that you think deep down, you're going to support him. Yeah, that's what it is.
You
like,
are.
Even
You're
here,
right.
like a lot of people here are big, even though we are not connected, a lot of people are big supporters of Bernie Sanders in America because they believe what he wants. You know what I mean? Even though it has nothing to do with us, but a lot of people do support him because they believe in what he was saying. Are trying to make change.
Yeah, but we as a country, we were not ready for the burn because that would be too. Oh my God, we would freak out if Bernie came in and did his thing. Too many people will lose too much money, and they were not having that. Like, if you can do whatever you want, but don't touch our money.
Yeah, but the bad thing about it, see if Bernie Sanders came to the UK or UK, for example, like UK politics, he'd be considered centre. He wouldn't be left. Like he's like
what's left in the UK?
No, a lot of people think like Bernie Sanders would be left wing, extreme left wing, like a really progressive.
Yeah.
But his views are kind of the norm here. Like universal health care is a thing. No one wants to dispute that. Gun control is a thing. Free universities a thing. So all these things that
so what are the big disputes over there?
A lot of war and like more like social benefits and stuff. Obviously, university isn't technically free here because we do pay it back eventually, but we don't actually pay it back. I think the statistic is like only 70%, 80% of student loans aren't paid back.
So how do you guys make money off university? Like, how does it help the country?
They don't make money. University was always free here. It was always given out in grants, so you get money. Like when I go to university, I don't pay anything. I also get every three times a year I get a student loan which used to be called a student grant. So they give me like £2,000 just to pay for like maybe accommodation or school books and stuff. That's what we get that every month. We get in September, January, and May. Every year we get that for 4 years. So that's what we get on top of being in university. So it all adds together and we ought to pay it back. But you only start paying it back if you earn over a certain amount. If you earn over like 25 or 20 grand, you start paying it back like £30 a month. But if you move country, you don't pay it back. A lot of people just up and leave and go to Australia and all too, move to America and don't pay it back. It's not a big thing here because it never was a thing. We didn't pay for universities. Only recently they started trying to take some money back off us. But then they're funding these wars in fucking Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and all too. I'm like, wait a minute, what? You're paying for all this money to go to war, but you're trying to get £30 off us a week? Fuck off.
So I could get my PhD in Ireland and not pay anything.
Oh, PhD's free. PhD, the government pay you.
Yeah, see, and that's how it is in the U.S. In the U.S., if you get into a program and you get fully funded, you get paid. But in Ireland, so does Ireland take U.S. citizens?
Yeah, I think it's different though. I think you need to apply, don't you?
You have to apply. But if I got into a school there, I would have the same benefits as you.
I'm sure you would. Like, yeah. Well, sure, if you come over here, you'll get free healthcare. They'll treat you.
But you have to. I miss art. That's why I told you I'm coming back there, and I want to like start my nonprofit, Urban Health Collaborative. Yes. I want to connect in Ireland and do stuff because like the city, the boxing gyms, different communities would definitely benefit from what I'm trying to do here. Schools, education, after school programs, because I know like Ireland, the problems, the social problems, I know there's still people who drop out of school. I know there's kids who still do drugs. I know that, people who do a lot of, the same things that we do over here, but it's not a big issue because everything is contained. Like what you like the bad stuff over there I saw is very contained. And like if there's a trouble kid in your town, everybody knows that's a trouble kid, that's a trouble family, because you guys are a community for the good and for the bad.
It's very hard to fall through the cracks, and it is possible. There's a lot of people who do fall through the cracks. We have social housing, social benefits. Like I worked in the social housing department, which is called the housing executive. So if you go to any housing executive in the north and present as homeless, they have to get you accommodation that day for free. And they'll not charge you. They'll get you
that
somewhere.
Same day.
They have to. If they can't, they'll put you up in a hotel and pay for it. That's what we do here. But a lot of people don't know about that. A lot of people. That's why when you see homelessness in Belfast, especially, a lot of people are homeless by choice. Either they're alcoholics and they live in a free hostel that doesn't allow drinking. So they're obviously alcoholics and they want to drink in the streets. So that's why they live in the streets. But you shouldn't really be homeless in Belfast or the north because we have the housing executive and they'll get you a house. And if you can't afford that house, there's a thing called housing benefits and they'll try their best to fund you. Again, that's not as good as it used to be. It's definitely fallen away. I think that's part of having a conservative government in the UK. They're taking away all these benefits, like slowly but surely, and that's the bad thing. And that's what they dispute over a lot of time, like more funding for education, more funding for social housing, social benefits and stuff.
It's like over here.
Yeah, but the bad thing, we still have it. And a lot of people don't fall through the cracks because they're safe, because we have healthcare, we have social housing, we have benefits to like job seekers. We'll give you money if you don't have a job. But the bad thing in America, you could easily fall through the cracks. Like if you get sacked from your job, like there's not that much regulation in America. That's the bad thing in it.
Wow. I think that's a great way to end this.
Yeah.
And like segue into our next episode because wow.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to our episode. If you like what we're about, make sure to stay tuned for the next episode of the Community Corner podcast. We'll see you soon.